Now, still on the judiciary, the Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed a suit seeking the refund of all the River State funds released, appropriated, and extended by the administration of the sole administrator in Rivers. James Omotosho, the presiding judge, on Thursday ruled that the court does not have the jurisdiction to entertain the case. The presiding judge said the applicant's counsel should have made this research before filing the suit, which is void ab initio. The judge also declined the request to transfer the case to the Port Harcourt Judicial Division. Now, earlier on Thursday, the court ruled that it does not have the jurisdiction to entertain the suit filed by another party against the declaration of emergency rule in Rivers. Now, joining us live from Port Harcourt is Wisabari Bani. He is a chairman at National Youth Council of Nigeria in Rivers State. We also have Tonye Jaja, a lawyer from Maseru in Lesotho. You are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, I'll pose this to either of you. My first question is, what are the implications, especially, what implications do the court rulings or jurisdiction have for future cases involving state funds and, of course, executive decisions in Nigeria?
Okay. What it means is citizens will not have access to the court to whenever there's an perceived infraction.
Right.
We, as lawyers, we have what we call judicial activism. There were judges like late Nikki Toby, Oputa. These were people that always ruled against executive lawlessness. But when you have judges who are timid, who refuse to look at the law, grant or expand access to justice for the citizens, then we have a problem.
All right, thank you. Now, Wisabari, let's move it on to you now. Do you think the judge's comments about the applicant's counsel lacking sufficient research before filing the suit reflects a broader issue in the Nigerian legal system? Okay, I think we have lost him. Tonye, can you help us with the answer for that?
Yes, I am also a law lecturer, so legal research is a problem in Nigeria. Yes, the judge was right on that point of law, that the lawyers ought to have undertaken legal research to know which court has jurisdiction.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I belong to a non-governmental organization. We did our research and we did file an action at the ECOWAS Court of Justice because that court has jurisdiction. Because what the president did by appointing a sole administrator is a violation of an ECOWAS treaty, a 2001 ECOWAS treaty. So we did our research and we knew that the court that has jurisdiction is the ECOWAS Court of Justice, and we filed a lawsuit there, not at the Federal High Court.
All right. Now, when we talk about law and we talk about stability, it's a very dicey conversation in Nigeria. And my question to you is, how might the court's decision on the emergency rule in Rivers State impact the stability and the governance of the region moving forward?
Well, unfortunately, government is supposed to be a balancing act. Mm-hmm. The judiciary is supposed to check the executive excesses. Then the legislature too is supposed to check the excesses of the executive. Unfortunately, what happened in the state of emergency is the legislature, which was supposed to abide by Section 305, which is 2/3 majority of the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. They failed to do that. They did voice votes. There was no head count to know that they met that 2/3 majority as required by the Constitution, Section 305. So you find a situation where the legislature did not play its constitutional role of checking the executive. So where you have such a situation, and then the judiciary was called upon to pronounce on whether this action by the president was in line with the Constitution. Strictly speaking, and the judiciary has also failed Nigerians. So
Right.
we have a sad situation.
So, Tonye, I'd like for us to speak about consequence, because we're very much aware that where there is law, if it is broken or if it is adhered to, there is always a consequence to action. I want to hear from you, in your own understanding. Can you just enlighten us on what, the potential consequences of the sole administration's actions could be or are in River State, especially now that the court has declined to intervene in this specific matter?
So you are creating an atmosphere of impunity. Impunity, that means I can do this and get away with it. That's what you are creating. If the president could do this, there was something people did not notice. During his calling off the state of emergency on the 18th of September, the president made a statement. He said 40 lawsuits were filed about this state of emergency. I challenged my colleagues who are lawyers. I said, if we had filed 1,000 lawsuits, Nigeria has 200,000 lawyers. If at least 1,000 of these 200,000 lawyers had filed lawsuits to challenge the action of the president, the deluge of lawsuits would have made the president and the sole administrator to back down. But because we did not, all we did was talk on WhatsApp. I condemned my fellow lawyers. We just talk on WhatsApp. Nobody was filing any lawsuit against the sole administrator. I challenged my lecturer, was the secretary to the government of the sole administrator. I said to him, you were my colleague as a lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt. You taught me jurisprudence, that law must be ethical. The practice of law must be ethical. How can you support the sole administrator, which is an unconstitutional government? I took him to the legal practitioners disciplinary committee. The matter is now there for the legal practitioners disciplinary committee to discipline him for supporting the government of the sole administrator. So imagine if 1,000 lawyers had taken action.
Now, I'd like for us, I think we have Wisabari is back with us. I'd like to move on to him if you can hear me audibly. Now, Wisabari, I'd love to hear from you, because, I mean, you are a representation and you are basically the face of the youth in River State. I'd like to hear from you and get a bit of insight as to what your reactions and your reflection has been thus far on the current judgment.
First of all, I want to thank President Tinubu for promptly, in due time, restoring democratic institutions of governance from the local government level to the House of Assembly and the executive back to power in River State. Hence, the governor have resumed office and everything has begun to move smoothly. The atmosphere in River State is now peaceful, and we are calling on all stakeholders. This is the time to consolidate on the peace infrastructure of the states. This is the time to bury our ashes. This is the time for us to come together on the table and build the rivers of our dream. The question is, this lawsuit in the news did not emanate overnight. It was not after President Tinubu lifted the emergency rule. This case has been instituted long immediately President Tinubu declared a state of emergency in River State for the collapse of governance, even as established by the Supreme Court, that there has not been governance in River State. And for that reason, there is need for a system to be put in place to forestall order. You cannot stay outside Nigeria. You cannot stay outside River State and know our pulse. Even the governor as of today, when he returned, has said, Mr. President, we are grateful. The Assembly has said, Mr. President, we are grateful. Because we don't know what would have happened. Today, the Assembly and the legislatures and the executive have come back in harmony and in peace. The local government has hence been restored. Peace has returned. The question is, do we have the right to ask that the sole administrator be probed? Yes, we do. But the question here is not about probing of the sole administrator. The question here is, does Mr. President has the local standing to declare state of emergency? The answer is yes. Looking at section 305 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, gives the president exclusive rights. Even legal luminaries has gone as far as reviewing the Riot Act and other acts that empowers the president to, carry out this action. First of all, are we as Rivers people, do we see the action of Mr. President to be enemical? The answer is no. The action of Mr. President was for the best interest of Rivers people. Let me say this: Rivers State does not just belong to Rivers people alone. The importance of Rivers State is even written boldly by the name treasure base of the nation. It means if Rivers State is set ablaze, this country is already ablaze. So, Mr. President, the presidency, the judiciary, and whatever saw the need as a result of the judgment from the Supreme Court, long-term litigation, endless litigations. Even when the Supreme Court said there has not been governance in the state, what happened? Was there any restoration of peace? No. Did the people feel the impact of what honorables have enjoyed as a result of the magnanimity of the Supreme Court?
Right.
No. Everybody was still going about proving a point. And what Rivers people needed at the time was peace. We were so tired. We needed the rule of law to be sustained in the state so that democracy and development can strive. We cannot be enjoying crisis in our state. I come again. We cannot sit and fold our hands and see crisis ravage. For example, a lot of local government secretaries.
Wisabari, I'm gonna have to cut you there. I see you speaking with so much passion. I understand, and I thank you so much. Thank you. Unfortunately, that's the only time we have for that. Thank you so much.